This was the scene of San Diego's firestorm in 2007. Walls of flames driven by strong Santa Ana winds roared through neighborhoods. 10 people died, 500,000 were evacuated, 1,600 homes burned.
I can honestly say it was the worst day of my career.
CAL FIRE Battalion Chief Pete Scully has worked as a firefighter for 40 years. He says he had never seen such erratic fire behavior.
Flames basically going horizontally, not up, but just blowing straight across, solid wall of flames.
2007 was an exceptionally dry year. Canyon slopes and hillsides were browned to a crisp, just like they are now.
The brush is stressed. The brush, and all species of brush, some are more obvious than others, but they're all starting to show some dieback.
Scully specializes in reducing hazardous vegetation that could fuel fires. His father was a firefighter, so is his son.
Be careful. This stuff is slipperier than it looks.
He led me on a tour of Hapatul Valley in the East County, where critically dry vegetation is ripe for burning.
You can see the buckwheat here. You've got some dieback on the buckwheat. Again, it's just adding fuel, and this is just an isolated portion here. This is that chamise again that we were looking at. This portion here has completely died.
He says the chamise shrub is a good indicator of the heavy toll of 5 years of drought. The plant can grow to about 10 feet tall. It has tiny needle-like leaves and white flowers that bloom in the spring. The die-off of the flowers at the tips of the plant is normal.
But when we see actual leaf starting to die, and we see things such as I was showing down here, whole portions of the shrub dying, this tells us that this shrub is very stressed, and what happens is this now becomes what we call dead fuel.
Dead fuel is extremely flammable because fire does not have to use energy to dry off living plants or live fuels.
So if there's moisture in this fuel, all of that moisture has to be driven out before it can actually get hot enough to burn.
He says live fuels with enough moisture can slow a fire down, but when Santa Ana winds push fire through dead vegetation, it can quickly become an unstoppable force of nature.
But if you were in a solid stand of this type of brush at this height, under the right conditions with the right slope, you could easily get 100-foot tall flames coming off this brush.
Most shrubs around the county, especially on south-facing hillsides, have dipped below critical moisture levels. Already dead are tens of thousands of oak trees decimated by beetles and tall grasses that sprouted in spring.
Most fires are going to start in either the grass or the fine dead fuels that you see at the base of this brush.
Then there's topography. San Diego's canyons and hills combined with its dry climate makes it one of the most dangerous fire regions in the country. A wind-driven blaze can move about 4 times faster, going up a 45-degree angle compared to flat land.
So therefore, more fuel is being consumed. The flame lengths get bigger. As the flame lengths get bigger, it generates more heat, which preheats more, farther ahead of itself, which causes the fire to burn more efficiently, and so it becomes this sort of snowball effect as it moves up slope.
Steep hillsides also make firefighting difficult for ground crews lugging heavy hoses.
We can't use tractors or bulldozers on steep slopes. Aircraft can't get down into the canyons as effectively because of updrafts, and just, you can't fly a big air tanker down through this canyon to put stuff he or she has to drop from a higher altitude.
Hundreds of thousands of acres across the county have burned over the last 13 years. Still, Scully says most of the county remains at high risk for fire. He urges people to clear clutter from their yards, remove flammable vegetation from around their property, and evacuate if told to do so.
They fail to understand how dangerous and how hot and just how fast these fires can burn.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.